What's up, guys? So Loki episode 2 dropped 2 nights ago, or actually yesterday morning as I'm recording this on a Thursday. And well, it was pretty crazy. Things went off, to say the least. Things are moving a lot faster than I thought of, but honestly, it makes sense. This is a 6-episode series, and especially with them dealing with the concepts of time, the multiverse, destiny, all this shit has to move this way. And if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we actually got the reveal of the variant of Loki, and it was revealed to be Lady Loki, or Sylvie. And you're probably asking yourself right now, did this fool just say Sylvie? Who the fuck is Sylvie? Is there somebody else that we have to learn about, some character that we don't know? Why, Kevin Feige, the god of Marvel, would you do this to us? But don't worry, guys, I'll fill you in on all the shit I read when I became aware of this character, which was yesterday morning, because that was the first time I can recall ever hearing about this character, and all the shit that I, a lot of it skimmed through just to have the bare amount of knowledge so I can give you guys some idea of what we might potentially get. Keyword potentially, but also another keyword is might, because we don't know what the fuck is happening. Not gonna lie, I like the first episode a lot better, mainly because of all the character work we got with Loki, and there's actually one sequence in this episode that really pissed me off, and I can only just barely justify it in my mind. But nonetheless, this was still a good episode and very interesting. Certain Easter eggs and topics to get brought up that I'm very excited to get into. But before we get into all of that, make sure to hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and comment down below if you want to see your boy shine bright like a piece of shit. Please want that. So with all that out of the way, let's get into it. So as far as the story goes, it's not too crazy, or at least not too complex. In the beginning of the episode, one of the Minutemen, C20, which unnecessarily, or fuck it, necessarily, one of them, C20, is played by Sasha Lane, who is an absolute baddie. And I just wasn't expecting that. That's the only reason why I'm speaking on it right now. Not necessarily because it's necessary, but because I felt like that, and I am a deviant, guys, and you know this about me. So I'm just gonna do what I want to fucking do. So yeah, I just thought that was worth mentioning. But basically, she gets abducted by Loki, or this Loki variant, at a Ren fair in 1985, and she totally dismantles the Minutemen that were dispatched after her, really displaying how formidable she is using her magic, her enchantment skills, and her weaponry, and also of course making sure to snag those pruning grenades along with C20. And basically the rest of the episode consists of Loki and Mobius trying to figure out where this variant could be hiding. I actually like how Loki's in regular clothes. I feel like he acclimated to TVA life pretty quickly, and he's kind of just like a regular person, and that's kind of what the Marvel Disney Plus shows really have going for them. That was a big draw initially for me, was okay, what are the day-to-day lives of these characters? And we got to see that semi in WandaVision, hella a lot in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now we get to see this weird type of life, or day-to-day life, with Loki, where he's kind of just like the TVA's bitch almost. He has nowhere to go really, until the end of the episode, spoiler alert. But it's honestly just so unlike himself, or unlike we've seen Loki ever, so it's pretty refreshing. And thanks to Loki and a very small, unappetizing bowl of salad, which absolutely doesn't constitute as a meal or as lunch, okay? What are you, some kind of asshole eating a small bowl of salad and calling it lunch? Oh, I'm full. That's bullshit. But basically, during Loki's studies at the TVA, he finds out that during apocalypse level events, zero variant energy is detected, meaning that during an event of total destruction and death, you can get away with doing absolutely anything, and you don't run the risk of causing a Nexus level event, or branching timelines or anything. You're safe, because anything you do won't matter, because everybody's gonna die. Everything is going to be destroyed around you anyway. So it's concluded that the variant will be hiding in one of these apocalypse level events. And I like how Mobius uses the kablooey candy to pinpoint where the variant will be based on the circulation of the candy in the region, which they pinpoint it to be at a Roxcart store, which is probably a subsidiary, or well, it is a subsidiary of Roxxon, the big evil company in the Marvel universe. When you think of Roxxon, think of fucking almost like Amazon or something, the big CEO billionaire Dario Agger, who is Minotaur. I'm very curious how they put this in there, and this is 2050, I believe, so I think Roxxon in the MCU is going to have a very big role. I think if Jane Foster is going to stick around in the MCU, that she is definitely going to fight Dario Agger, the Roxxon or the Roxcart, CEO. And I like how they put that in this show. That was actually really nice. And this was really good. Mobius was totally on his Batman shit here. This whole detective mode, I love that. And it totally absolves him of everything, you know, sins absolved for the salad bullshit, which is like, if you're eating that amount of salad for a lunch, you're an asshole. It's just is what it is. You could be a great person, but if you're doing that, it's just, I don't know what to tell you. You're going to hell. So they head to that time during the apocalypse level event, and the Rocks Cart facility is basically like the Costco from Idiocracy. It looks like outrageously, like ridiculously big. Like it's so fucking stupid, but it's cool. Like it looks like a cool store. That's why I fucking have it on the thumbnail. And they split up into teams, with B-15 really demanding that she go with Loki and Mobius go with the other Minutemen. And so that's what happens. Mobius and the Minutemen, they go and as well look for Lady Loki and for more pruning grenades, and they instead find C-20, and she's like shook, scared out of her mind. I don't know what the hell Lady Loki did with her. Maybe she gave her a tiny salad. I know I can't give it up, but it is what it is. Anyway, baddie Sasha Lane is basically all shook up, and she reveals that she revealed to Lady Loki where the timekeepers are, which I find it crazy. Like I feel like being a Minuteman is kind of like just being cannon fodder. Why are they giving the cannon fodder, the Minutemen, this type of information to like these insanely powerful beings, the location of them? I feel like that's very stupid, but you know, it is what it is. And so now Lady Loki knows where the timekeepers are. I have some ideas about that. And then on the other side, B-15 and Loki, they're, you know, walking around Roxxon carefully. They stumble upon a person that was enchanted by Lady Loki, and he passes the enchantment to B-15, and Loki basically talks to Lady Loki through the enchantments of B-15 and other workers there, or other people there at the Rocks Cart. And during the time that they're talking, he actually mentions that one of his goals is to actually overthrow the timekeepers, which kind of gets her to pause a little bit. So I have a feeling she's going to be paying them a visit. Something is going to happen, or something already has happened between her and the TVA. Maybe something even more personal, maybe something bigger that we don't know about just yet with the actual timekeepers, but obviously have to wait and see. After the talking phase is done, she hijacks this like big dude's body and it starts to fight Loki, which this is the part that pissed me off, guys. Okay, Loki has been ragdolled by the Hulk. His physiology is totally different. He should be able to kick this guy through the fucking wall, which he should have done. Legit, like I was so pissed off because this dude was fucking Loki up, and I'm just like, just smack him or fucking do something, homie. Like I don't know what this was, or maybe he didn't want to hurt the guy. Maybe Loki is turning a new leaf. I have no idea. Maybe that's the case, but I was just like, this guy shouldn't even be able to move Loki. Like Tom Hiddleston is a fucking big dude. Like he was probably just as tall as that dude. That dude just had the extra water weight on him, but still, like Loki should have fucked that guy up. I think he should have boxed him up, and that would have been an appropriate response. But it is what it is, and the only thing that I can say in my own mind to justify that is that maybe when a person gets enchanted, their strength and durability increases. That's the only thing that kinda is getting me through this, but it is what it is. I'm not looking that deep into it, okay? But after this little fight, that's when we get the reveal of Lady Loki. What she says is, you know, it's not all about you, and that's when her plan, her real plan, gets set into motion, and all the pruning grenades that she's collected, along with that device that opens up those time doors that the TVA uses, she sets them off and drops them in these doors, and they're all set for different locations at different times. Like she is sending these pruning grenades to Xandar, to Ego the Living Planet, to Hala, to all these different places in the universe, to Titan even. She's going to fuck Thanos' family up. Maybe she'll kill Thanos. I don't know. Maybe that'll be a good thing. I don't know. Probably not. We will find out that this causes like insane levels of Nexus events or Nexi. I don't know. As we know from the TVA, this is totally fucking everything up. Like that's so crazy. Like I feel like they're understaffed, even though they basically, or at least in the comics, they clone everybody. Like everybody in the TVA is pretty much a clone. I feel like they're understaffed. Like have like an army of Minutemen with you. That's gonna be very, very fucking hard to remedy, because once those little branches go past that red point, you're fucked. That's when the multiverse is gonna start to happen. The timelines, they're all fucking crazy. And then of course, Lady Loki escapes through a time door of her own, and Loki has a choice to make: stay with the TVA, help them, or go with Lady Loki, and he chooses Lady Loki. That's gonna be very interesting to see what they do in the next episode. Tom Hiddleston actually said in episode, I think 4 or 5, the series is gonna take a tonal shift. It's gonna change in a new direction, so I'm curious to see what that's gonna be like. Maybe it's gonna be something like in WandaVision when we get to episode 4 and we start seeing things from outside of the bubble. I'm hoping it's something to the level of that. That's basically how the episode ends, on that big cliffhanger. So first we need to address who exactly this variant is, because before this episode, everybody, including myself, was sure that this variant was Lady Loki. I mean, the TVA, who are pretty all-knowing, said this was a variant of Loki. So I was like, okay, this is Lady Loki. And in the previous episode review video, which if if you haven't checked out, you know, go fucking check it out. Might be a good time. But in the comics, when Lady Loki was a thing, Lady Loki was basically just Loki in Sif's body. It wasn't actually like Loki transformed, which I feel like he can do, but I don't even know. I said that this Loki would probably just be a Loki that was born in another timeline that just so happened to be female. But what's got everybody thinking the opposite is that in the credits of this episode, one of the other countries' cast list, like the voice actor list, has Sophia DiMartino's character not listed as the variant, but listed as Sylvie. And Sylvie in the comics is actually the second person to take up the title of Enchantress, which there are two main Marvel characters that claim the name Enchantress. The first one and the more predominant one would be Amora, and she's like an OG Thor villain. She's like super powerful magic wielder. The second being Sylvie Lushton. Now, this is the character that I barely read about, and I've been, you know, trying to do my best. I would suggest reading Dark Reign, Young Avengers, I want to say. She's come out in other books, but I think that's her first appearance. I would read that if you want to get kind of like the gist of it. Maybe when you read it, it'll hit different. That's kind of how I see these things. She was like a regular girl, and then she got imbued with these powers by Loki, and she's like supposedly like insanely powerful. Like she was able to teleport Sentry away. I think she had some help, but basically she is insanely powerful. Nobody really knows why, but Loki basically did that to her. He said that he liked the idea of imbuing a mortal and making it so she believed that she was of Asgard. I don't know if that has anything to do with himself. Maybe that has something to do with it. As far as I know, the true nature of why Loki did it hasn't been revealed yet. If any of you guys know, let me know, but that's pretty much the gist of it. Now, in this case, you could have missed it if you weren't looking, and if you were looking, you probably missed it because it was very fast. When Loki is studying for the variant, first page that he flips over, and he flips over this page very fucking fast. On that first page, it actually has the name Lokis Daughter Sylvie, which I think is a crazy name for a frost giant to name their kid. I feel like that's a very like Midgard name, not a fucking Jotunheim name. So I thought that was weird. So a lot of people right now are saying that she's going to be the Enchantress and that she's Sylvie Lushton, which I'm thinking it's a bit of everything, okay? I think they're leaning very hard in the amalgam route, which, you know, they're taking everything and they're just meshing it together. Because Sylvie Lushton, she was just a regular girl who was imbued with Loki's powers. I don't know how that can be the case if this person is actually Loki's daughter. This is actually a frost giant woman. So I don't think it could be somebody who is just of Earth that was imbued by Loki. So I think she's gonna be a mix of Enchantress 2 and Lady Loki. And they do show us Oklahoma in that first episode where, you know, Sylvie Lushton is from in the comics. That could just be foreshadowing for her being Enchantress, which maybe she is. Maybe she's gonna be a variation of Enchantress. She does lean very heavy into the enchanting part of magic, so maybe that's what they're going for. It's not at all what I was expecting, honestly. When I heard the rumors of Jennifer Lawrence being cast in Thor 4 in some unknown role, I was really hoping that she would be Enchantress. Again, Jennifer Lawrence, she's an amazing actress, hot as fuck. I was totally down for it. But honestly, if anything, this is Sylvie, and maybe Amora is still out there. So I'm counting on that, and we can get two different versions of Enchantress in the MCU. Hopefully this version sticks around. I don't know what's gonna happen to her at the end of the series, but I'm excited to see where things go with this character. Also, we get a very short scene, but very important, between Judge Renslayer and Mobius, where he's signing some document. The camera focuses in on the pen, which that shouldn't happen just for nothing. And during that conversation, she was talking about how she had another analyst just like Mobius out there. And a lot of people, including myself, are thinking this could be Kang, okay? In the comics, Judge Renslayer, she was a romantic interest to Kang the Conqueror. I don't know if Kang is Kang just yet or what the hell is happening, but Kang is very important to the multiverse and to time, which we should be getting. Obviously, Jonathan Majors is coming up, Ant-Man Quantumania. I'm very excited. We'll see where that goes, but I hope she is alluding to Kang, guys. Or if it's not Kang, and I know this is a stretch, but what if it is Justice Peace, which I would love to see. Honestly, I want to see the Hopsicle. I'd like to see that cool, like badass, different Minuteman. I think he'd have a pretty cool dynamic with Loki. I think it would just be badass to see that. And also on a side note, Renslayer is such a badass name, and the actress that plays her, you know, as well as being a baddie, has a badass name as well. Gugu Mbatha Raw. Your last name is Raw. How much more badass can you get than that? Going back to the pen, it says Franklin D. Roosevelt High School. This could be, you know, in reference, or she might have gotten this pen from maybe a time where she was still working in the field, maybe her and Kang, and it's special to her because Kang gave it to her in an area where that school was. It could be something like that, but people are thinking that it could be alluding to Owen Reese. Molecule Man. Now, this is a reach, okay? My shoulders, they're gonna be sore. So basically, the whole theory is that Molecule Man, Owen Reese, is from Brooklyn. And I believe in the Marvel Universe, maybe in the real universe, the world outside your window, there's a Franklin D. Roosevelt High School in that part of Brooklyn. Maybe that's a reference to Owen Reese. Owen Reese is very crucial to the multiverse, okay? If the Beyonders are gonna get brought up in any facet, Owen Reese, I think, has to be brought up. Especially if Secret Wars was already teased, I wanna see Owen Reese pop up. Molecule Man will fucking go nuts. After WandaVision, we should all know to take things with a grain of salt. That's just a theory, that's just speculation. Now, moving on from the more speculatory stuff, I've already talked about the things that I disliked, the whole fight sequence in this episode, and that was pretty much it. For the most part, I really liked this episode. I thought it was good. Although I did think the first episode was better, this was still a good episode, and there was stuff that I really enjoyed in it. Again, seeing the day-to-day nature of this character, of any Marvel character, is awesome. That makes these characters that much more real to see, like, oh, this is what this character would be doing in this time. He's not just fucking off, he's actually getting shit done and doing things. He's a real living, breathing person. And we see Loki, and you know, at first glance, he's very over the top, very boisterous, very annoying, but rather than getting annoyed at this, I understand that this is exactly how a god of mischief would act, okay? He's doing all this shit, he's being over the top, he's putting the fucking juice and the salt and all this shit in the salad, which, you know, that's what Mobius gets for doing that, for calling that lunch. It is what it is. And I really actually like that. Like, he is a god of mischief, so he's just fucking with things on any scale that he can, whether it be shushing somebody just because they shushed him because he was actually being a dick and being loud, or, you know, lying to Mobius on the field when a dangerous variant is out just to stall time, or to, you know, try to finagle his way to go and see the timekeepers, shit like that. Just being basically a fucker. I also really love the relationship that's forming with Loki and Mobius. Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston, they're so charismatic, and it's so easy to watch them just back and forth feed off of each other. It's really awesome seeing this kind of almost friendship form. Not really, because we know how Loki is, but it's honestly really nice to see them feeding off of each other, especially with their little conversation about the TVA and the timekeepers, and how Loki finds that ridiculous, even though he grew up in Asgard where there's a fucking rainbow bridge and fucking flying horses and all sorts of crazy shit, and which is pretty crazy when you think about it. It really reminds me of like different cultures and different religions, how like other people seem crazy if you're in a certain religion or a culture. Other cultures seem crazy to you, but to them it's just normal, and you're the crazy person. Like, it's interesting to see that kind of perspective shown or like displayed, especially in the way that it was. And I really like how Mobius put it, like, the TVA is real because I believe it to be, and in that I find my glorious purpose, which I think is brilliant in my opinion. Just an overall great moment. And Loki brings up a really good point, since they are in a null time zone, which the TVA is, and I believe it's outside of the multiverse in some weird interdimensional space. Like, in that space there should be no predestiny or anything there. If time isn't really working there, they should be the only ones who have free will. Can you even create a Nexus event within the TVA? I don't think you can. And that little bit about how people that are good are never truly good, and people that are bad are never truly bad. We all have good and bad in us to varying degrees, and I think that might be alluding to the timekeepers, these guys that are supposed to be, you know, all fucking knowing, maybe benevolent. I'm not sure benevolent is the right word. Basically, they're looked at to be doing the right thing, and I think that that's going to allude to them maybe not being evil, but doing something kind of bad, and that being focused on Sylvie. And I have a feeling that she's going to be wronged in some certain way, and that's why she has this animosity to the timekeepers and why she's trying to fuck with the time. I think that's going to be interesting to see what comes of that. I'm really excited to see what that change is going to be. All I know is Mobius better get his damn jet ski before the end of this series, or I am going to be livid. And also, on a quick side note, when they are in that Roxcart facility and when B-15 gets the enchantment lifted off of her and she falls down, it's very subtle, but Loki goes down and is kind of concerned for her, which was a very small but awesome moment. That heart is not completely made out of ice, as you know, we can see, you know, nobody is ever truly bad. And to kind of close it off, I'm very excited to see what Sylvie's motivations are exactly. Like, we have an idea, but I'm really curious to see, because I think this is going to be the main thing that's going to pull at the emotions and the heartstrings of this series, which I think it's going to do. I think it's going to hit really hard. I honestly think she got done like super dirty by the TVA and the timekeepers, and obviously she wants her revenge. Also, another side note, I totally see somebody going into the TVA and getting that drawer full of the Infinity Stones and just going wild back in the timeline. Like, Loki Loki should just do that. Get one of the Infinity Stones, fucking get all of them, get the Time Stone, and just wreak havoc. Obviously, the TVA is always gonna go after him, but I mean, that's what I would do if I got sent to the TVA. I would just grab all the stones, make myself a fucking stupid ass gauntlet, and fucking just party. That's if the timeline is still intact by the end of this series. In the comics, the gems only worked in the universe where they originated from, but in the MCU, as we saw in Avengers Endgame, they go to the alternate timeline and back to their timeline, and they were able to use it. But that's the thing, things are hella confusing now, because is it all just one timeline, and did the Avengers just go back to the past? But if that's the case, why didn't anything change? But then also it's like Steve Rogers is there, but did people forget? And then a whole bunch of bullshit. We need a conference right now with Kevin Feige, with the Russos, Mike Waldron, to explain everything. Anyways, that's about it, guys. Let me know if I missed anything, or if you caught on to something that I didn't talk about. I want to know if I left out anything, if you guys have any ideas or speculations, anything you think is going to happen that sounds interesting, let me know. That's it. If you liked the video, leave me a thumbs up, comment down below, and if you want, subscribe. I always appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.